hear this every time when people are having drinks. Cheers to a beautiful life. Cheers to a beautiful marriage. Cheers to a successful career and so on. But for a lot of this to actually take effect, it's not just about saying great things at the bar. It's about getting the right therapy to put your mind in the right space to make sure that you can pull this off. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my bar. I'm Shola Thompson, your barman. This is Barroom Therapy. In my bar today, we have somebody who obviously is truly, let me just use the word iconic, because when it comes to football in Nigeria, Nigerian football, Nigerian sports in general, you know, he's played such a big role, especially when it comes to grassroots and putting himself in a position where you can't talk about sports and not mention his name, especially when it also comes to, you know, what you get to see on television. Yes, the iconic Mozez The Grey Boss Praiz is with us at the bar today. A pleasure to have you here, Chief.
You're too kind. That was some amazing intro there.
I mean,
far too
you know,
kind.
do you know how long you've been doing this? Do you know how long you have been doing this?
It's a pleasure to be in your BRT lane.
Yes. Oh, love that. You see, you're the first person to say that. The wordplay, I mean, come on, uncanny.
No, but it's beautiful. Barroom
Therapy, yes.
That's a
yes.
BRT lane.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks for
I
having
love
me.
that. I love that. The barroom therapy lane. You know, so usually to get the conversation as nice and easygoing,
Yeah.
I have to hook you up with a beverage.
Oh,
a very
great.
good beverage.
Yeah, I see a whole
so
lot of
what's
nice
your
stuff, yeah.
what's your persuasion? Do you want to go vodka?
No thanks.
Okay.
I need to have
Cream
a clear
liquor?
head. Yeah, cream liquor.
All
should
right,
be.
cool. Clear head. Well, let's not hope on that too much. I'm joking. Obviously, clear head.
Yeah, please.
And we know the conversation obviously would be very enlightening because people would like to know what makes the Grey Boss the Grey Boss, especially in an industry that has seen all sorts of ridiculous politics and all that, and just basically how you go about your life. But I'm sure we'll touch on that shortly
Yeah.
as I mix this drink. No, I don't really mix, because I haven't exactly gotten my bar license.
No, it's great.
know.
You are a movie aficionado.
Yes.
So all those bar scenes we see in Hollywood, let's have ours.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you could just have me just walk into like a cool Nollywood bar scene and just be like, sir, don't kill your wife. And you're like, oh, it'd be so dramatic. It has to happen, it has to happen.
I agree.
But cheers to a great conversation.
Cheers, man.
And, a fantastic time for barroom therapy. So I mentioned something before, and I know that it is, as far as your position with sports and the things you've done and how amazing you've been with your longevity in your career and just basically being at the forefront, regardless of whatever drama. Because look, I'll be honest, Mr. Mozez Praiz, the Grey Boss, I've hardly heard any controversy around you. And you are always, because when it comes to football and sports, like football in general, the chunk of people that watch it in Nigeria are plenty.
True.
So there are people sniffing out all the bad things that Mozez Praiz has done.
I hope they find it.
So either you have like one of these ex-CIA agents who's covering your tracks, or maybe you just with the way you. So let me understand, for your mindset, how do you find yourself staying away from that? And at the same time also, what does it take for someone like yourself to actually just be in this industry with working, being, in the limelight and still keeping a level head?
Shola, people say when you want to achieve anything, you have to be ambitious.
Okay.
I adjusted that ambition because again, when you say ambitious, are you saying to the point where you would do anything to want to be recognized, to want to come into a place of fame, money, and the likes? I'm not driven that way.
Okay.
I'm not driven. If I were driven that way, I would have courted a few controversies along the way.
Well,
because the truth is, you can't make an omelette without, cracking
Breaking
some
a few
eggs
eggs.
and all that. So
Yes.
I don't want to be the most popular person. I don't want to be the richest guy. I never pray, to own a private jet. It's not my thing.
Okay.
I just want to live a simple life that impacts.
Okay.
I want to be like salt. It's got so many powerful uses.
Yes.
And many of them, and it's just so inconsequential. It could just delight your meal. It could preserve stuff. That's what I want to be. and then I'm just very obscure. Unfortunately, the way I'm built physically
Yes.
does not allow me to be obscure.
Can't.
So as I do as much as I can, even though I'm in the limelight,
Yes.
not to be in the limelight.
Really?
Yes, it's a deliberate thing. I had someone in South Africa, a good friend of mine, who is doing, I think she's more or less building a show for somebody in Nigeria here.
Yes.
And, say you need to look for guests and stuff that would, kind of help the show. And she's been scouring the whole internet looking for stuff about me. And because she knows me, she's saying, I can't find stuff about you, per se. And it's deliberate. It's deliberate. So I think that in itself has kind of helped me a lot. I'm very contented in where I am, who I am, how I am. I'm not going to be the best broadcaster in Nigeria, win all the awards. No, even when I win awards, I'm thinking, oh, wow.
You show up for these awards?
I'm honored.
At least a couple.
I have to for some of them because they literally tie me up.
If
you see me at events, Shola, and the truth is I get so many invites to this, these events and the likes. I have a bad habit where I forget them. So I see the invite, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to be this. When is this? Oh, it was 2 weeks ago. Oh, it was a month ago. Oh, it was last week. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry guys, I couldn't make it. Not because I wanted to miss it, but it's just not my drive. It's not where I am.
So for you, you'd rather, because if we're looking at how unfortunately the industry is now, to be able to be approached or to be revered to a certain extent, it almost feels like it's necessary for you to be out there in the limelight, because you'd even have Martin Scorsese, the director, the famous director, if he can have an Instagram, you can imagine what his agent had to tell him. So
Shola, you're right, Shola.
Yeah,
you got to be out there in the limelight.
But
I'm of the opinion that one of the things that should actually be out there in the limelight is your work. People cannot shy away from the good work you do, even if you choose not to be physically out there.
Okay.
You understand? So I'm always of the opinion, you know what, put out good work. Always put out good work. So the young broadcasters, presenters I have trained over time, I've said to them, your last show should be your worst show. In other words, when you come in, yes, it seems as though it's kind of monotonous. You're doing the same show every week or every day, and even though there are different information coming through, but it's the same show, same time belt. There is that thing there that would say, you know what, just relax. It's the same thing. That's not for me. I'm always of the opinion that there's someone new listening to me that day, and I have to deliver to that person. So I'm not going to come out here and look all scruffy and not prepared. It's first and foremost, it does disrespect to my work, and to the audience, and to my employers also. So very importantly is I'm all about the show, the product. Invest in that. Make sure you give a good show. Once that is out there, it will speak for you all the time. Hence why I say, when I get awarded, I'm thinking, oh wow, thanks. I wasn't expecting that.
You were supposed to be a Nollywood actor.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be a Nollywood actor at a time in your life.
I would say
before sports came in, took you away from, and looking at how the Grey Boss has grayed over the years and just still stays as fresh as he is.
That's a good word.
It feels like you have just, you probably would have killed it in Nollywood.
I think I still would.
What happened? Is it this need to say, okay, look, I don't want to be in the limelight, or what happened? Because you could have still done both, actually.
No. And I think I would still do Nollywood.
Oh, you would
mainstream.
still do it?
I will still.
Oh,
I will still
all right.
do it.
Shout out to the directors out there. Unlike Denzel that's about to retire, the Grey Boss is about to throw his hat in.
No, hats off to Denzel. And I've done a few actually. I've done a few with the great Victor Lauton and a series called Splits of Fire.
Really?
Yeah, that was a way back then. I was also on Mr. X Family Show. Okay. By RMD himself.
All right.
For those who do not know, RMD is my acting coach.
Really?
Yeah, or was my acting coach.
Really? Okay.
Years back and all of that.
That's like from the best.
Do you understand? Yeah. So movies is always something I will do. Why I didn't do it then was because I was actually behind the scene. I studied cinematography.
Wow.
And editing at ITPAN, Independent Television Producers Association of Nigeria.
Okay.
I did a course there in cinematography, in editing, and set design. I learned under the great Pat Nebel, who you would say is the best set designer, even though he's late. I learned under a great man. And So I'd always been behind the scene. I never wanted to be in front of it. That's the honest truth. Never wanted to be in front of it.
Okay.
I just wanted to do production. I shot. I didn't like, then Nollywood was not really what Nollywood was.
What is now? Yeah.
So you just have people say, okay, fine, so this is what we're going to do. And I was trained by someone who, some South African who was working in Hollywood.
Okay.
And, he says, you got to have a script, all of that stuff. So, I was at the movie set, like, yeah. So they say, you're going to, I said, no, name me the script so I can. I said, no, don't worry. We'll just tell you how we're going to do it. And that was it. I said, I'm not doing it. So I shot music videos and the likes.
Oh, you were in music videos?
Oh, I shot music videos.
You were a video vixen and...
Not a vixen. I was a cinematographer.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. So I thought what you meant was you took off your shirt.
No, behind the I did not take out my shirt. But have I been in music videos? Yes, gospel music videos.
Okay,
and I hope nobody ever sees it because...
It's too late, man. Because right now, what people are doing right now is just Mozez Praiz and gospel music video.
Yeah, hopefully they get to see that.
100 views to 70,000.
But one thing that was major for me was modeling.
Okay.
So I did model. I did some of the top fashion shows in Nigeria. There's Mozez fashion show. There was some big fashion shows I was a part of.
Okay.
And I had the odd privilege. It was ridiculous, but I was actually on the South Africa, Johannesburg Fashion Week.
Okay.
It was just by providence because I moved to South Africa.
Okay.
I joined a modeling agency there. And an opportunity just showed up. They just threw me in. I don't think anybody thought about it. And this was an age where social media was not social media per se. Documenting the things you did wasn't really a thing per se. So I had the odd privilege of actually working the Johannesburg Fashion Week.
Really?
Runway. And I shot a few TV commercials. Did some TV commercials here. I was on billboards. I was on the likes. Shola, when I walk into a casting event, other models literally walk out.
Because you just held it down. Wow.
So they're here. No chance. Let me leave.
So one thing I know is, I mean, there's no doubt that as far as this goes, we have to understand exactly why Mozez Praiz decided to toe this line and, disregard the other things that could have come. And we'll touch on that, of course, right after this break. Coming up, of course, for Barroom Therapy, the next break brings us closer to what makes Mozez Praiz the great boss. Stay with us. Welcome back to Barroom Therapy. The great boss, Mozez Praiz, on the seat trying to tell us exactly why he said, oh, let me just forget about trying to do this and just focus on the sports and basically just stay away from, such and such. But anyway, one thing we know for sure is with you, there have been obviously conversations regarding how, as I said before, you've tried to keep a lot of things on the down low. Yeah. I'm very sure if it was possible, you could find yourself, you could date, let me see, Genevieve Naji, and nobody would know, and then a lot of them will be by your doorsteps, because it'd be like, oh, this guy knows how to keep things on the DL, keeps it on the DL, and it's beautiful,
it's interesting. So this kind of conversation has never happened before.
Really?
With cameras rolling.
Okay, I mean, hey, that's why we have drinks. It's Barroom Therapy.
I'm on the BRT lane, man.
Is after, well, you can call it behind the scenes.
True.
Of Mozez Praiz. So how have you, walk us through, for example, there was the conversation regarding the lady, the fashion for Face of Africa.
Okay.
Oluchi.
Yeah.
And the thing is then, when it came around, just somehow, the dynamics around it just seemed like, people couldn't really explore much. Maybe the CIA agents that you normally hire to keep your things private, they were helping you there.
I couldn't afford one.
So what happened with that? How did you?
No. So Oluchi and I were really good friends. That's the honest truth. Really good friends. And I have her to thank for a lot of things. I think she was one of the reasons I had the opportunity to model in South Africa.
Oh, okay.
Because of her connection and all of that stuff. And she is an amazing woman. I have to hand it over to her. She had a great career. She has a good heart. We met at a Nigerian fashion show event in Abuja.
Okay.
In Abuja. So it was her and a former First Lady of Nigeria, late Stella Obasanjo.
Okay.
Yes, there were the VIPs there. And then it was a beautiful event. I came back to Lagos, I got a call from the organizers, oh, there's going to be a photo session with you and Oluchi.
Okay.
Like, wow, you know. And we had a photo session. And the photographer at some point in time was like, oh, you know what, get close to her. I'm like, I'm close enough, you know. And I think that was where the friendship kind of flourished.
You didn't feel the photographer at no point decided to say, you guys look good together.
Well, people said that a lot.
Right.
A lot.
And you guys didn't explore that?
Well, it would have been nice to.
Right.
It would have been nice to, but I think she was engaged then.
Okay.
And she got engaged rather to her long-term boyfriend, and you know they got married. You don't want to be part of messing anybody's, you know, thing up. So it was good relationship, good friendship, and you know what? All I have for her are praises, because I think she did real great. And by the way, her son is doing amazing things.
Oh yes,
with
we've been hearing news about that.
Well, not Formula One yet, but I mean he's almost there.
Awesome, and I'm very sure he'll be. We'll obviously be paying attention and making sure, or rather, be paying attention to how that actually plays out. So with you as being a model, turning down Nollywood at some point,
Well, don't say
and also
turning
saying
down Nollywood,
no, turning down
Shola.
Nollywood at some point, and
I
then
didn't
coming
turn
back
it down
to
per
say,
se. I was just saying, you know, not yet.
not yet, not yet is the word.
You know, because there was just a few things. Because I've had Zeb Ejiro give me a script. I've had a few people.
Really?
Yes, Zeb. Then he used to come to the office in VI. You know, and you know, it was like, oh, we should work together and stuff. I've had a few producers, you know, say, hey, let's do something. Tinsel producers have approached me.
I can imagine.
I've approached
it's just next
more
door.
than once.
Yeah, like
you know, and to be honest, the timing to shoot movies and all of that stuff is the thing for me. I
So
struggle.
do you, with staying out the limelight and you looking at the timing, and then you're married, and you have kids, So how has that been able to play to intertwine? Because you as a married man, obviously would you say one of the reasons why you stay away from this is because you also want to make sure that you keep your marriage intact? Because maybe if you had taken up some of this.
I don't think so, though. I don't think so. I think if your marriage is having issues, it's because you are having issues. There are personal things that needs to be addressed and resolved, not because of what you do. You can't give an excuse for that. You're the one doing it anyway. Movie is an anime thing, So if you allow people into your life, you allowed them into your life. If you were influenced, you allowed yourself to be influenced. So I don't think that has anything to do with the case, with it. I'm very, very, I like to hold myself accountable. And I like to make myself accountable.
All right.
And I do that with every person. So if you're my friend, I will hold myself accountable to how that friendship is, and I will be accountable to you also. Same thing with my marriage, And there are things. I've got 2 girls and a boy, and they're very inquisitive. So I've had a friend of mine in church. My daughter was 4 years old, the second daughter.
Yes.
And this is someone I've known for 20 years. We're friends. She's a medical doctor. And, I yabbed her one time, and she just, knocked me in my belly, and we laughed and we left it. My daughter went to meet her and warned her. She said, you want my daddy to have belly ache? I said, no, I didn't hit you. Hit him. I saw you.
Yes.
So they're very, very protective and stuff. And I don't want to do anything where I can't explain it to them. You understand that? So I get a movie where I'm kissing. I'm like, what do I say to them? It was like when I was modeling also. I anything that has me wearing briefs, I'm not doing. I don't care how much you
That was in your...
That was me. That was part of what... I'm not doing any of that. So I don't want to, in any way, have to start explaining why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'd rather just not bother about it. Because, you know what? The good books tells me that if meat will make your brother stumble, don't eat meat. For those, if you know, you know. So I don't want any of those kind of situations coming up where I have to be explaining myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. No. So it's best I avoid it. Are you missing out on that? I don't feel like I'm missing out.
You don't feel like you're missing out on
No, I don't.